Welcome back to Steel City Screams. My name is Ashley Ray.
And I'm Brenda, am I?
And Bryn, could you please introduce our special guest today?
Absolutely. Everybody, please welcome the amazing, talented, beautiful, awesome Kailey Hyman to Still City Screams.
Thank you. I'm
We are
so excited to be
we are
here.
so happy to have you. I just said before this too. I love your energy. You're always so sweet. And you're awesome. And obviously, I might say this 10,000 times over, but I cannot wait to work with you.
Me too. It's going to be so fun.
It's going to be a great time.
Oh,
Ashley,
yeah.
And
you're in the film
this
too. So you
is,
guys are going to be co-stars.
yes, which I'm so excited.
Oh,
I feel so honored. Yes, I play Lisa in the film.
oh, fun. So fun. Lisa's a
Yeah.
good character.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited because she's like the opposite of what I am. So I'm so excited to play the total opposite of what I am.
Right.
And so
No, I
that'll
totally feel that. I get very cast as like the party girl, I think a lot, and I'm just not that at all.
yeah.
But I appreciate it. I mean, people think I'm like more fun than I am. I'll take
That's what I was like.
it.
I was like, this character, I really gotta find that really fun side, and not sure I know that side, but we're gonna find her.
Oh, we're gonna find her. We're gonna get her out. It's gonna be great. So
Ashley,
fun.
you're so
Period.
spicy. Don't act like you don't have it in you.
I can tell.
I won't have to direct you at all. I'll just be like, okay, cool. Ashley, you're good. You're good. You're good.
The spice comes out.
The spice just comes out. It'll be natural. But Kailey, for those who don't know you, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, how you started in the industry, and what you've done so far.
I'm from Philly, sort of. I'm like right outside of Philly proper. But I did go to school in Philadelphia, and I was raised in a very like ET style home without the without the alien. Still waiting for the alien to come. But very like loving, cute little family. And I started acting at the library at my house. My babysitter like went to high school with a girl who was doing in the basement. They were doing a little play of Annie. So I learned all the music and I went and I got the role and I was so excited. And that was the first time I did something where I wasn't sort of looking at the clock, waiting for the time to pass. I mean, I'm saying this as a 6-year-old, like it's not as if there were so many things I was doing that with, but I do remember being like, oh man, every time my mom would come and pick me up. And since then, I would do some musicals, mostly theater. And then I went to school for acting at Texas State. We're in sweatshirt. And then I came back and I sort of did a little bit more film and TV. And one of the first things I did actually after coming back from school was Terrifier 2, the second Terrifier. And after that, I kind of like in the best way stumbled into the horror world. It wasn't my like focus going in. I love Shakespeare and I love there's just like so many other things, but horror really accepted me in a way that I'm so grateful for. And the people who love the horror movies are so dedicated to it. It really is just an absolute family. I mean, I don't even have to tell you that because going to the conventions and everything it's like a family affair the whole time.
It is. And I think I say this all the time to just everybody. What's really cool about the horror community is it's a very supporting, loving, accepting place, especially when you specifically go to a horror convention. You're
Oh yeah.
constantly making new friends and meeting wonderful people. And that's like the best thing I feel like for anybody to be in a place of acceptance and fun and to be
Oh
able to be
yeah.
yourself. So I've always loved that.
Oh
So
right.
I agree.
The acceptance is it's so real. Everybody is very awarded for like the cool costumes that they make themselves. Or I love walking through and looking at like the trinkets people make and the masks. And there's just, I mean, talking about Rick, our friend
Right.
Rick makes all the very cool masks. Our selfie guy. No, I love the conventions and I love seeing people again. That's what's really cool about them. It's not as if you just see people and you don't see them again. A lot of people will travel around like you do. Like a lot of people will come and see us and hang out, and we'll grab a drink later. It's always fun.
Yeah. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of times too, because prior to really getting in the filming side, like I grew up doing theater as well. And so once I started getting in the film side, I it dramatically changed for me because of course I feel like we all, even no matter what age we are, still have our little fangirl phases or fangirl moments. But especially when
Yeah.
I was a teenager, that's when it was really prevalent, of course. But what teenager doesn't have that when they're going to a convention and meeting their celebrity crush or their favorite actor in general? But again, as I've adapted, and Ashley, I'd like to hear your point of view on this too. You know, it becomes more of like a connection, and you grow the friendships with people. And a lot of times you don't think that, in a sense of it's because you're going to these cons and you're meeting people. And it's like, yeah, it'd be cool if you can be friends with everybody. Um, but that's not always a first thought, if that made any sense, you know?
Totally. No, I agree. I totally agree. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think I don't travel to conventions as much as Bryn does. But I do try to go to the ones that are close by. And it is cool. You get to see people that you've met previously. And just like even how you said, sometimes the guests will remember you, and that's super cool. And the it's so because I grew up on horror, but I didn't really find the horror community until I was probably like a teenager. So it is kind of nice how just supportive everybody is and interested in indie films too, like not just the big major
Yeah.
horror films. They're very interested in lower budget movies as well, which is really cool. And especially, for Bryn and I, that's important when we're making films to have that kind of support.
Totally, because that's how you make the big films, right? Like most of these films started as indies, and then
Mhm.
they'll get picked up by bigger production companies and things. But this is how you get the major ones, you know? This you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and what kind of like passion and interest they have. And just the fact that they're there and making something, I mean, that's amazing. That's what's so fun about connecting with people.
So were you a fan? I know you said you kind of like fell into horror, but were you a fan of horror films before or not at
Yeah.
all?
No, I actually totally was. I just realized I didn't mention that. No, I really am. And I think there's something like weirdly psychological about it because I remember my brother never really wanted, I only had one big brother. And growing up, all I wanted was like his attention. I was just like, let me play with you. I was just running behind them and they would always be like, no. And the only time I got his attention was he loved horror movies. So I was like, yeah, I love horror movies too. And, my first horror movie, I was little. I remember I watched Poltergeist, the
Okay.
first one, like 1982 or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and I slept in my parents' bed for a month, probably. I was very close to the age of Carol Ann, and that really stuck with me. But then afterwards, I started enjoying it. Like I enjoy the thrill of it. I like being scared. I like haunted houses. I and it was a really big bonding thing for me and my brother. And now we still like once a week we'll watch a scary movie. Like good, bad, in
Oh,
between. We'll do
nice.
the big ones. We'll do the free ones that you just find randomly on TV. It's just so fun. I love horror movies. I think it's such an art form that isn't like as respected as it should be. I think we respect it and our
Thank
community respects it so
you.
much, but it's not recognized as much in like the big Hollywood world. I mean, they had their movies, but
Mhm.
especially in like award shows and stuff, it's just so difficult to pull off a thrill and pull off
Yeah.
suspense and actually getting an emotional reaction out of an audience, that I kind of marvel at it. But yeah, I like the horror movies that I like a ghost scary movie. It
I do
that's my
too.
that's kind of my bag. I like The Omen, like
Oh yeah.
The Conjuring. Those were always big for me. And then after doing Terrifier and a couple other films, I started really appreciating the practicals of slasher movies. And now I'm just like, that's where my heart is now. I'm getting a history lesson about it.
Well, that's the great thing about horror is there's so many different, there's supernatural, there's demonic, there's gore, there's slasher, and it's there's just so many. Bryn and I have talked about this before, like you can there's so many different aspects to horror films, and it's great because still everybody can come as one big community.
Mhm.
And so it's cool. How did you feel about the gore in Terrifier too?
um because it is all practicals, like Damien is such a master at FX work. um I never had a problem with it. I was like, whoa. Every time he would put something on, I'd be like, ew, add more blood. Like, it was so cool. um and I've never been like a squeamish person in that sense. So I was a big fan. When I watched the movie, there was a lot I didn't see. I remember like the first scene is so gory. I'm pretty sure you see brains in the first scene of the second movie. And I went with my friends, and my friends who are like not scary movie people, and they were like, we're gonna get like 2 hours of this. And I was like, yeah, better buckle in. It starts at a 10, baby.
Well,
It does.
because I mean, your death scene in that film, first of all, I don't know if you remember this, but I know I remember telling you this the first time I had the honor to meet you. And I was like, I was pissed because I was so prepared for you and Lauren to be the final girls together, along with Jonathan, obviously. So Elliot. But then when you weren't, I was like, God damn it. Not what you had to kill both of her friends. Like, why? But like, there was something, I guess, oddly enough, poetic about you
Mhm.
going out and just the way the whole sequence went. And then, Sienna finding you and just the rest of the film. And I think with Terrifier 2, when you look at Terrifier 1, it expanded so heavily in length, in kills, in story, in characters. And I think that's the really cool part about Terrifier 2 and why it was so successful.
Yeah, I'm
Besides
hearing
having the
crazy
first one
things.
behind it.
I'm hearing crazy things about the third one. So get ready.
Listen, I know. So somebody posted something about somebody getting sick on the third one or almost getting sick. And David openly posted, like, yeah, that was me. And I was like, the guy literally doing the worst things in the movie is the one that nearly got sick, is crazy. So that's going to be I'm really intrigued to see what 3 has to bring from 2
Right.
now, even. So it's gonna be great.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for them. And they so deserve it. Like, all of the hard work that everybody does, the Buzz on the Lens boys, our producer, everybody. It's
Well,
just a
and
great
that's why I also want to add, like, to you, the rest of the cast, the crew, and for 3 and however many more they make, which I hope it continues
a
forever,
million.
obviously.
Yeah.
But congrats to all of you guys. You made it on a $250,000 budget and made 15 plus $1 million in the box office. That is incredible and speaks
Right.
volumes. And that's why earlier, when you mentioned like horror doesn't get the credit that it deserves in Hollywood, that's why I said thank you, because you're right, it doesn't. And I feel like with all the other genres at the Oscars and all these other award ceremonies, it deserves its spot too. I feel like there's so many actors and actresses that don't get awards for these performances, and they deserve it just as much. And I feel like everybody wants to see that more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could totally see that, especially because if they're adding bits, if we're talking about the Oscars where they're talking about box office, like if that is an award now, horror movies always do well at the box office. People always want to be scared of with the big screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun of it. So I don't know, who's to say? Maybe it'll change. That'd be cool.
I think it'll come in time. I think it will.
Yeah.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Definitely shall see. So because we've been talking about Terrifier a little bit, so you said that this was one of your bigger first projects after coming out of school and everything. So for you, did you do a self-tape or an in-person audition for them?
That was a self-tape. And then I think I did another self-tape callback.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was a chemistry read, but I'm not sure if I actually could make that because it was probably at a producer's house. There were a couple steps, but I'm pretty sure everything was taped for me. This was right before COVID. I remember filming it because I actually did get COVID on my last day.
No.
So I know, and I didn't know I did. It was weird. It was at the very beginning of COVID when it was just sort of like a rumor that it wasn't very, not a lot of people had it in America, and I totally got it. And I remember I turned green and everybody on set was basically like, okay, Kailey's wrapped.
Kailey needs to go rest.
Kailey needs to go.
COVID was such a crazy time. Like, I mean, we're 4 years later and it still feels like we're frozen in time almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was such a interesting moment. I don't even know how to describe it to this point anymore. It was definitely just wild is probably the best word to put to it.
Yeah, it really, everybody's lives changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very lucky. I moved home, like I had somewhere to go. I was living in New York and I moved back to Philly. And that's kind of where I felt like, I don't know, I decided after that this is sort of my home base. I really like being here, especially because, well, after COVID, a lot of casting offices don't really have actual offices anymore now. So every self-tape is an audition instead of going into the office. So it didn't really make sense for me to pay rent in New York. So there was a big change, but it was positive. So I'm very lucky. I don't overlook that. A lot of people had terrible outcomes for COVID. But how did you guys make out in COVID?
I was finishing. Ashley, no, you go ahead. I've been talking too much. I'm going to shut up for a minute.
We both jabber too much. I was actually working in real estate at the time, not as a real estate agent, but doing marketing. And I remember when
Yeah, that
we
went
were
crazy.
first hearing about it. Yeah, we were first hearing about it. And this sounds selfish, but we were so busy in real estate, and I was like, oh, there's gonna be like a break, and real estate went crazy. It was like it was so good. I couldn't believe it. I was so busy. But I did work from home, but it was so busy, so it was kind of like not much changed except for being at home working and busier. So
Right.
it was a weird time.
I think that's when
Totally,
the market was the lowest compared to how it is now. Because
I remember a lot of my
real
friends
estate
got
was
crazy, crazy apartments in New York for like half the price, and then immediately had to move the next year because it went up twice as much.
Yeah,
There's a lot of that in New York. Yeah.
that does not shock me. It's New York City. I was finishing acting school when COVID happened. So it was a 2-year program in Manhattan. It was the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts.
Yeah.
And I got a degree in film and television acting. And we went into school one day and they were like, yeah, so there's this like stuff going around called COVID. So we don't know if we're going to have class next week. So just, like be safe and do what you need to do. And, make sure you keep an eye out on your emails and stuff. And, spring break was coming. And so I was going to head home for that week. And because I hadn't seen my family since Christmas, and college break was shorter than like high school, which was so bizarre to me. But I went home for spring break and they were like, yeah, if you're going home, stay home. So I left half my stuff in the dorm room until like probably 2 months, almost 3 months. And so we finished online because they had to train our teachers on Zoom. And then that's how we graduated. And it was like, I mean, yay, I was done, but it was sad experience. But, at the same time, there were so many other people that didn't even get to finish their schooling pertaining to college or even high school, let alone get a graduation. So I was still very, thankful for that time. And I got my degree and learned great things, met great people, had wonderful teachers. And so, yeah, then from there, I was home for a while, worked my butt off because I worked at Starbucks. And during COVID, that was booming too. So at the same time, like Ashley, you saying real estate was booming, as much as they were like, stay in your house, don't go anywhere, people were going crazy out working still and all these things. And I was like, I'm so confused. I thought we were supposed to stay home. Granted, we did for a little bit because there was a legitimate shutdown, but there were still a lot of jobs that were working consistently, which was crazy considering they were like, yeah, 6 feet apart, stay home, don't go near anybody. And I'm like, okay. It was an interesting time for sure. One I don't think anybody will ever forget.
And it totally affected, our world. It's probably, you got a big learning curve, which is probably good to help you as an actor because so much is on Zoom now. So doing that in class probably just made sense for your future too.
It absolutely did. Because for a little bit, I was like, I'm kind of struggling because I can't properly connect with my scene partner.
Yes, that is really weird about acting over Zoom, right?
Because it's just easier when you're in person or you're on set and it's a different, you're there with them. Whereas you're trying to look at a screen and really pay attention to what's going on, hoping that their screen doesn't glitch and you make a completely different reaction to what you're supposed to, or you think that you're supposed to. I feel like we can go on and on about this. It definitely was a learning curve though. And I've taken more classes via Zoom and it's helped tremendously, not being in person. But I definitely can say it's a struggle. At the same time, it's not going to be for everybody. Just like a lot of people prefer in-person auditions compared to self-tapes. But me, I'm like self-tape all day.
You could do it a million times, make it perfect. I agree. I'm the same way.
You can take your time. You don't go in there and feel rushed and like anxious. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, in person, that's crazy. But it is definitely still a good experience in person. I did one multiple months ago. Not too long ago. Not too recent though. And it was really fulfilling because it's been so long since we've been able to do it. Still prefer the self-tape though. Always and forever.
Yeah, that was just auditioning in general in person. There's so much that goes into it. It's like calming your heart when you're when you're in the waiting room. The waiting room is like its own ecosystem. I'll never forget. Like, yeah, when I was going in New York, and there were at least 3 or 4 girls who looked exactly like me, and I would see them at every audition. That eventually were just like, hey, I know you, what's up? How's it
We might as
going?
well be besties at
We
this
might as well
point.
be friends. I see you more often than I see my friends. Hey. Yeah.
But that, and see, that's another crazy thing that I've heard over the years is you go into these audition rooms and you see people that look just like you. And you're like, whoa, okay, cool. There's my 5 different twins. That's great. And it's, I mean, that's gonna happen, but it's, I don't know. It's a, as much as I love this industry, there's times where it's like, I feel like we've all had our moments where it's just like, damn, like, I don't know. Not like I'm going to quit moments, but I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. This is a lot. I mean, I feel like I'm jabbering at this point, but am I making sense?
You totally are. I had a teacher once who basically just said, stay in line.
Mhm.
So like as if all the actors in the world were just in one line and the front of the line is getting their chance and they're moving on. And as you go on, people quit because it is so hard. And as people quit, you just take a step closer. It's not, and when people get their chance, it was their time to have their chance. There's no need to be jealous or anything. Just know that, each time you don't get the part, it's just a step closer to the part that you will get. I think that's the only way you can look at it and continue. You have to be like delusionally positive as an actor. Otherwise, I don't know how to make it. I just don't know how else to do it.
No, I think that's great and great advice because I mean, I think it's with a lot of, you know, industries and such, but it is when you're not getting it over and over again, it defeats you. And that's a positive outlook because there can be a ton of reasons you don't get something. You might not have been tall enough. You might, there's all sorts of different things. So, that's a great way of looking at it, I think.
In fact, that's usually what it is. I for a long time, and I would suggest this to anybody starting out acting, I was a reader for a casting office, and the conversations I was privy to doing that, listening to the casting director and the producer and the director talk about the person when they would leave was almost always like, yeah, but she has blue eyes and the guy has really blue eyes, so I think it would be too washed out. Like it so has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
makes me breathe and go, okay, they don't hate me as a human, hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it's probably just it's not working out. You're too tall, like you said. They don't want your blonde hair, whatever. They don't have
Yeah.
money to dye your hair, and you're
And
right.
because right away as an actress, when I audition, I'm like, if I don't get it, oh my gosh, they're making fun of me, and
Oh,
something like
never.
that. And that's what I had someone tell me. It's like, it's not that you could just not be tall enough, your hair color might not be right. There's so many auditions, and I think that's helped me feel better because even when I'm casting, I don't ever look at an audition and make fun of that person. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, if I'm not doing that, I'm hoping, nobody else is doing that as well.
Who has
Um,
the time? They're
Right.
making a movie. Like they have
yeah,
so many things going on. I'm pretty sure they look at the first 10 seconds and go, nah, they're not right. Like if you're
yeah,
not right
Mhm.
for
yeah,
it, you're not right for it.
Right.
That's
yeah,
just that's just the way it goes. It wasn't your part. Your part will not pass you by.
yep. That's great advice. Thank you.
Queen
Well,
Kailey over here. Queen Kailey.
Speaking of Queen,
oh,
do you have a favorite scream queen?
that is such a good question. I I like Shelley Duvall,
Oh,
like
Okay.
from The
yeah.
Shining. She's so I think there's something so interesting about like her face, honestly, and her outlook on the world was so particular and just all of the choices. I remember watching The Shining for the first time and being like, that's not at all how I would do any of that. And I love it. Our point of views are so different about so many things. So everything I've seen her in, I loved. And on that note, like I feel the same way about Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
everything I see her in, first of all, she has like the most captivating face, doesn't she? I
She
feel like that
does.
face, her and like Helena Bonham Carter, like people that have like the camera just loves it. It like
Yeah.
loves where the light hits certain places. I see her and I'm like, oh, you are
Yep.
exactly where you need to be. Um, and then Lauren Lavera. She's,
Absolutely.
I mean, how can you not love Lauren? She's a black belt. She's gorgeous. She's funny. She's
Yeah.
great. I could talk about Lauren Lavera forever. She's probably my favorite screen queen.
Aw.
No,
And my favorite
she's
freestyle.
honestly, we would love to have her on the show. So we're gonna have to talk to Lauren eventually. But
You should
but
definitely
honestly,
reach out.
she has paved this new generation in a way for this new era of scream queens, and it's amazing to see. And that's why, my goal at the end of the day, as much as I love directing and writing and doing all the other things, is I would definitely love to be a scream queen myself. And
Yeah.
so there's just something about those roles that are so badass. And the way that she portrayed, especially when we get towards the end, I was like, sister,
Sis.
I would never want to fight Lauren.
Are you kidding? She teaches kickboxing.
Yeah, no, Lauren
You stand
would
a chance.
absolutely knock me on my ass. I will happily.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think that's what was so great about Terrifier 2 as well, is you were all such strong, powerful females, and Bryn and I, again, we talk about this all the time, like the girl power in the industry and girls having each other's back. So it's so cool that you guys are friends and support each other. That's absolutely amazing. And I think we need more of that in the industry. And it gives me such hope. And so that's awesome.
I
Girl power.
totally, we love the girl power. I love her. I love Casey, and Sarah. Like all of and all of the girls from the first movie too. We're now friends with them. Like especially after going to the conventions and things like that. The women, I don't know how I got so lucky being thrown in with these. Like Casey is traveling the world. She writes her own blog about the women that she meets in other countries, and she'll like send out the blog via email, and it's this long interview that she does with somebody that she just like meets while she's in a different country, and she's so interested in getting into other people's heads. And like I met her on a scary movie set and now my life is forever changed. Like I love these people. They're so great. You're right. Women rock.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
We're here for it, always and forever. Women are gonna start
Period.
dominating. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And we're here for it. We're always here for it. And
Always here.
but that's what I mean, like meeting you guys and like getting to talk to you more, getting to know you guys more, and soon to be working with you. It's like it's crazy just how things connect and work out and move forward. And I think again, sometimes I repeat myself, so pardon me, but that's the one thing that I always say I love about the industry is making those connections and seeing how you can relate to people in certain ways, how you can work on set together, even outside of just work in general. What do you like? Are we the same in a lot of ways? Are we not? Like all just a bunch of different things as a collective. I think connecting with people is one of the greatest things, even just as a general, as we go through this crazy life, is such a great thing.
Totally.
Always and forever. I also adapted that saying. Uh-oh. Have you seen the Vampire Diaries?
Of course I've seen the Vampire Diaries.
I
read the books.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, Ashley, you need to.
I know.
I have a quick random side question though. Are you a Stefan girl or a Damon girl?
I was always a Stefan girl. Yeah, but that's because I read the books. He was, well,
Okay, fair.
I also love like him, but Ian Somerhalder is a babe, so I don't know.
He's
But
the
they're both
sweetest
smoke show.
person. If you ever get to meet Ian, do it.
Oh, really?
He's a sweetie pie.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
recently, because I've done so many shows, I had a friend who knows his brother, Bob, and then his wife, Dina. And they go and travel to the same conventions as Ian and have vendor tables. So I was working with Bob and Dina in December, and Ian couldn't come to that show. But just when you get around them as well, like the Vampire Diaries people, originals, legacies, they're all great people too. They're so fun, they're so outgoing, they're so sweet. And they're just it's like another little family.
Yeah, one of my friends is in she was in the originals. We're in acting class together. She's my buddy.
Oh my gosh. So we've talked about your favorite scream queen, a little bit of how you grew up in horror. Now, is there a particular slasher that you would like to go head to head with now that you've been in that realm?
Yeah. Head to head with, you mean like like be in or like want to be in a movie that's like as good?
A specific franchise. So say like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or
That's what I
Jason
was gonna
Voorhees.
say. I was gonna say Halloween, and I think like a big part of that is actually the soundtrack. I would love to be in a movie that has a classic like villain song that every time you hear it you go, oh my god, Michael Myers. You know, I think that's when you really have that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that specifically to go against Halloween, like for that reason.
Well, y'all heard it here. Final Girl, Halloween, Kailey against Michael. Let's
Here we
go.
go.
Don't forget Ashley. Ashley wants to be a part of that too.
Ashley would totally be there. Let's go.
Ashley, can we announce anything yet?
No.
Never mind. I didn't say anything.
I'll tell you guys
Sneaky.
I must say, Final Girl or not, death scenes are always great too.
So fun.
And that's why I've said to you, although I was angry that Brooke died, it was a badass death. Because look at Casey's too. Like, I feel like both of your deaths in that film changed a lot in the gore, practical effects, like everything that went into it. And I think that is such a great thing because I get like not a lot of people can stomach the gore stuff. It doesn't bother me too much. I've always told Ashley it's the sound effects at the end of the day.
Sound, the sloop. Yeah, gross.
And I don't know if that makes me like psycho, but whatever. Gore doesn't bother me that much. But when it's a good death with good effects, practical effects, all the things, it's what makes it so much better, I think. So
totally agree. I know.
Speaking of which, Bryn, why don't we move on to Never Return?
Absolutely. The biggest reason why we're here is because Kailey is playing the amazing Jo in our film Never Return. And I cannot wait to see you play this character because when I was writing this, a lot of how I write is to make sure it's not just complete horror, but people can connect to these characters. In a lot of ways, a lot of these characters have me in them and how I've grown up in life and act in general life, all the things. And with Jo, she has to me some similarities to Brooke. And so I think with that being said, I just really thought this role would be perfect for you. And I was so happy when we got everything all together. And I was like, yay, I have my Joe. And so with that being said, when you first read the script, obviously without spoilers, and even if we do, we'll just cut it.
Okay.
What were your thoughts about the character and just the connections that Jo has with her friends in the story and where she would ultimately end up in the end as a whole?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I definitely saw some Brooke in there. She's got fire.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. But then it's interesting. Like she has fire specifically towards one character, who honestly, I kind of think the other girl's my favorite character too. There
Kaya?
are multiple. Yeah, I love. Yeah, Kaya. Kaya, like she's like the no bullshit, and everybody's like, you gotta be like nice, and she's like, no, why are we gonna like she's so real, she's so open, and I was like, oh, but I totally, yeah, I like a lot about Jo. I like that she's really fierce about keeping her friends together. I don't know if I'm allowed to say she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That's a surprise, but I've only played a pregnant woman in theater, so I'm excited to see how that translates.
Yeah.
She fights back, which is cool. She fights back, like runs after her friend. Like she goes along and doesn't let being pregnant inhibit her. Like she's never really like, you go, like I have to be careful. She will run out too. She's ready to fight no matter what. And I love that about her. I think that's really cool.
And so like I'm glad that you did bring that up because in a normal circumstance, obviously you're going to do whatever you can to protect yourself and the baby you're carrying. But at the same time, with again, another thought with Jo is she's almost like a mama bear at this point. She cares about her friends. And just like with Nina, she's deemed the mama bear. She takes care of everybody. But with Jo, she's more stern in a sense, and she'll stand up and say what she needs to say and her thoughts and opinions. But with Kaya, she just doesn't care if it comes out wrong or it hurts anybody. Jo's just one of those people that's like, okay, listen, cut the bullshit. Like, why are you being like that at the same time?
Yeah. And I think we've all been there with it. Like sometimes there are just people who are really good at getting under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like her whole relationship with everybody is very specific.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. That's a fun challenge when it's a pretty big ensemble, like for like a group of leads who are all together in this sort of like classic cabin in the woodsy fun horror movie. I like that in the writing there is like specific points of view that I can just dig more into and personalize in my own way. I mean, we've all been in a big room, high school with a couple people you're like, oh, can't stand them. And then a couple other people you're like, I would die for you. I love you. So it'll be fun.
And I think that's the great thing about how everyone's dynamic is completely different. And that's why I can't wait to get the whole ensemble together, because with Ashley's character, for example, Lisa, like she only knows the lead male, Jackson. But, there's just so much to it, so many different personalities, so many different temperaments. Like as a whole, it's going to be really exciting for me as a director to be able to sit there and watch how you guys all just become the character and work off of each other. Because and I know everybody in so many different ways, and I kind of know how certain people work. I don't know how others work. And I just think because everybody as a whole is, I know for a fact, so hardworking and excited for this, I'm like, this is going to be a badass group. And it's going to be a really cool experience for everybody. And I'm pumped for
really,
it.
really excited to see how the ensemble dynamic is. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's a great group of people, cast and crew. Yeah, really good
I
group
can't
of
wait
people.
to see you and Kaya. That's going to be fun because Candace, who plays Kaya, she is a sweetheart, but she has a lot of fire.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
so when she's a bitch, she brings the bitch. So she's like, I know she's gonna be ready for those moments, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be great for the both of you.
And I think there's like something interesting about the fact that the only other person other than the baby daddy that knows that I'm pregnant is Kaya, right? So clearly we have this like sister almost relationship where you can be my absolute person and I will fight for you. And also I want to kill you at the same time. Very complicated, the whole like frenemies thing. But the fact that I even told her first that I was pregnant, that I confided that in her is huge, right? That says that like we have so much history.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like, this group has known each other for very many years. They basically did grow up together. I mean, obviously, a couple are older than others and vice versa and whatnot, younger, older. But because they've been around each other for so many years and have now, they're grown adults at this point, by the time we get to a certain point in the film, to where it's like a wild experience for all of you to be where you're at that point before things go bad. Because you're in new phases of your lives, and your character's at a point in her life where she's like, I'm an adult now, like I'm having a baby, like I'm gonna be a mom, Ryder's gonna be a dad, we're together, like this is a whole thing. Was it planned? No, but we're doing it and we're happy. And then you have Kaya that's still, as much as you love her and still confide in her, she's still living in that high school phase. And it gets to a point where not only you, but everyone's starting to get tired of it. So it's everybody that's going to start butting heads and trying to figure out what to do and how to handle it and where to go moving forward as things progress.
Yeah, it gives you that foreshadowing of the actual danger and horror that goes on starts within the friend group. You know, it's like percolating up. And then it leads to when it actually blows is when you actually see blood.
Yup. Yup.
And lots of it.
And lots of it.
And see, that's another thing too, you know, like within the entirety of the film, yes, it's a horror, it has gore and it's scary, but there's so much more to it. There's love and there's comedy and there's drama. And I think it's important to not just focus on the horror all the time for certain reasons, depending on the project itself. But then again, just to bring up Terrifier 2 real quick, you know, that's how the dynamic is really in Terrifier 2. There's a lot of story to it. Different characters, different relationships, whole different storyline that has yet to be explored in a lot of ways. And so that's why I can't emphasize enough how excited I am for this movie to be made. And it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. I can't say it enough. I'm pumped. I'm so pumped.
So pumped. We're so pumped.
So, without spoiling, and if you do, we'll cut it, obviously. But is there a particular scene that you're really excited to film?
I'm gonna spoil. It's so I don't know how I can answer this stuff, but you can cut it out. Then I'll tell you. Since this is just between us. I really love the second night, right? Because the first night is like we're watching a scary movie. And I think when we're watching a scary movie, everybody's like, here it comes, here it comes. I know how this works. I know how this works. Like as soon as this killer in the show comes, like the killer in real life is gonna come. And then it doesn't happen that night. And then the second night, they're like, let's watch a comedy. And then the lights go out, you know, and that's when you're like, huh? And then immediately it really goes from like 0 to 100. It's like, wait, what's going on? Boom. You know? And I think that's going to be a challenge in a really cool way as an actor to like when people start dying, we have to accept and move on. Like how do people do that without mourning? But it's like, but we're still in danger. It's that that like zombie land thing where we're like, this is just what my life is now. Okay, we have to move on. really fast, and it's hard, but it's a cool challenge that we're gonna have to cross over. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your favorite scene?
Oh, this one's probably gonna have to be off air.
Okay.
But as far as before all of that, I really like the dinner scene.
Yeah.
Where you and Ryder, well, Joe and Ryder, announce their pregnancy, and just to see everybody's reactions, especially Kaya's, because Kaya's like, oh, so she is telling everybody now. She's the drama queen. She loves the drama. She feeds into it. We all have somebody in our lives.
I think I'm the drama.
That is exactly her. That is exactly her.
You have to cut my part. You'll have to cut this.
So next, let's get into Indiegogo a little bit.
Okay.
So when you think about Indiegogo perks in general, is there, like, I don't know how much you look into Indiegogo or whatnot, or have been familiar with it, but in general, are there like perks that you like to see on the Indiegogos, or you'd like to see more of, before we dive into Never Returns?
Yeah, I always love a big signed poster. And I kind of selfishly, because that usually means that the whole cast gets to hang out at the same time and sign like a million posters together. I have actually, speaking of which, I have my Terrifier one in the corner over there.
Yeah.
Because then we'll like sign one for each other too.
Mm-hmm.
I like those. I like the slates. I think slates are really cool in general. Like that's just a cool keepsake. And then like if people want like talking to the cast, I'm not saying like I'll be all that interesting to talk to, but talking to you, talking to anybody would be like so cool.
And see,
Yeah, those are go-tos.
and I have, well, not I, in general, we have those on the Indiegogo. And that's why I was intrigued to hear your point of view on those, because for me, even if you can't be on set, the one thing I love about running Indiegogo campaigns is being able to give people opportunities to contribute in a way where they feel involved, and get to have experiences that they may not be able to have, like going to a convention. Because it's not like you guys do appearances 24/7 either. You're working, you have personal lives. Sometimes you want to take a break, all those little things. And so that's why I love being able to offer those perks on Indiegogo. And so, with that being said, if you did have to pick a particular perk, even though you named a few that you loved, is there one for the Never Return Indiegogo that you're like, if I was just contributing, I would absolutely grab that?
It's got to be the slate.
The slate, signed slate.
I love a good slate.
Well,
I love a signed slate from everybody. It'd be so cool to put on my bookshelf.
Well,
that's actually one of.
Go ahead, Ashley. You're good. You're good.
That's actually one of my favorite jobs, working as crew, is doing slate.
Yes.
So slate is always a big one for me too. I'm like, I love those, but that's one of my favorite jobs to do on set. It's doing slate.
Well, and I know for Terrifier 2, you guys had customized slates. And so what I had already planned too is I'm going to pre-order and customize Never Return slates too. And I think that's one thing I'm definitely really excited to see, like the final product for, because not only are we going to use, slates on set, those particularly, but now on top of getting signatures, you're like, you basically get a little piece of a prop from set from us. And so yeah, I think it's really cool to have those kind of items. I'm not a huge collector, but I also like having my little knickknacks and stuff like that. We all have a little collector in us. And so I'm really happy that I'm able to offer that, and that you guys love those kind of perks as well. And so if you guys want those signed slates, Kailey's going to be signing them too. So you got to grab those.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be signing
it
them.
starts booming.
I might be stealing them too.
I'll get you one.
What?
Don't you worry. I got you. I got you.
Yes.
So we did have a few fan questions that people sent in to us for you.
So fun.
So first one is from Under the Floorboards podcast. And
We
they
love
were
them, by the way.
wondering, they are amazing. They've been so supportive. So shout out to them. Thank you guys. They asked if you prefer to act in horror films or if you prefer other genres or if it doesn't matter, considering you acted in a part in A Man Called Otto.
Oh, right. Okay. What do I prefer? I don't even think it's the genre. I think it's the character and the director. So horror movies are so fun to make. Prosthetics that a lot of them involve like take hours and sometimes can feel a little bit like you're being buried alive. So for that reason, those aren't my favorite days. Just like when I have something on my face and I'm like sitting there having lunch with people, just like I want to take this off. But it looks so cool afterwards. So I don't know. It's a really hard question. I did love A Man Called Otto, and I love other characters. I think I just have to say like it depends. It really depends on if the person has like a good arc. I look for that in characters, and if I respect what the director's done before, if I am inspired by it, I think that's it. Period. But clearly, I love horror movies. I do them and I watch them all the time. So I think for right now, horror movies probably takes a little bit of the precedence, but I would never turn down anything else, especially to work with Tom Hanks again. Are you kidding?
Were you in Pittsburgh for A Man Called Otto?
I was.
Our
Oh,
hometown.
bad. We could have, yeah, we could have all met up.
Oh, man, it would be so. I know. If only I knew you guys back then.
Well,
Yeah.
you're not that far. You're
I know.
only technically, I guess you could say the phrase would be across the water and not in, but near good old Philly.
Near good
Yeah.
old. It's like 3 hours. That is doable. You're about to take the longest drive ever. 3 hours is nothing.
I thought Philly was 6.
Oh no, it's not that bad. From Pittsburgh to Philly, nah, it's pretty much a straight shot.
And I don't know what drive I was going on. I'm gonna have to talk to my parents.
I went to Philly for a concert and it probably took me like 6 hours, but
Really?
yeah, but it was
It's more than that. Maybe it was a fever dream and I'm imagining it.
that's about what it took me.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It could have been traffic too, because God knows traffic in Philly is not fun.
Philly traffic is crazy.
Yeah, she's no joke.
It's not fun. Next question. What makes you most excited about your role in Never Return?
Oh, most excited. Well, I'm very excited to work with you. I think that, I mean, I was just talking about like direction, like that is such a big, I have so much respect for directors. And the fact that you're an actor too, just genuinely means that we're going to have a very similar vocabulary. And I'm excited to see like your vision on this and see where you take the shots. And I'm excited to work with the DP and the ensemble. Like I think a big ensemble is it's not something you see a lot. And I did just do like I just finished a film and it was me and like 4 other girls who were really we were kind of like a tight ensemble, and that was so fun. So something like that again where it's like, okay, we're gonna be friends after this. I love that.
I love that. And again, kind of a repeat. That's why I love these connections. And I feel like once we all get on set, it's going to be a big family dynamic. I just feel that already. And I'm really excited for it. 4 a.m. We're going to be on Crackhead Hour, and it's going to be great for that night.
We're getting silly. We're improvising. Nobody knows what's going on anymore. Yes.
Yeah.
Cute. Really cute.
But it's going to be so fun. I'll be the one that is like full of energy. Are you a night owl? Me, I'm
Yeah.
like, I thrive. So
I
I'll
actually
be
am.
sound asleep.
Yeah, you're gonna be asleep.
blood all
I
over you.
Yes, for sure.
If I have caffeine, I can go. Like I have my coffee right now. I can go. Yeah, I can indigo go.
No,
Don't clap for that one. Come on. Come
that would have
on.
been a joke
Have
I
better
would have
taste than
made.
that.
Ashley's not lying. She definitely would
I
have.
would have said that, and Bryn would have went,
Okay, good. We're gonna get along, Ashley.
So the last fan question that we have right now typed up, because I'm sure Ashley may have a few up her sleeve. If you had the choice to keep Brooke alive, would you have changed that?
I don't think so. Honestly, I other than I would have loved to come back and act again.
Mhm.
I like you said, it was kind of a poetic ending. Brooke got hers, man. I think she had to. There is that whole question of like, all this is happening, or I also put Molly in Sienna's drink. There's always like that side question that's like, is she just like tripping? I don't know what's going on. But the fact that I did that gives a little bit of justice, I think, with my death. But I had a second of fighting back. So I don't know. I think Brooke has to die for the story to continue. It gives her it also like finding her friend's dead body because she never really got to see the other like finding my dead body, I think really gives that like rev to the story for Sienna's character.
Right, because you guys didn't find out that Allie died.
Right. We don't find out that Allie died. And I can't remember. Does she see her mom? I don't think she does.
She like at the one point where she gets stabbed by Art by that sword, she like
Oh, and then right. And her mom like sort of comes back. Yeah.
yeah.
There's like there's an idea that someone's dead, but then seeing someone is so visceral that and it has to be someone that you came in with, like that matter. Like, you know what I mean? It couldn't be my boyfriend that she just met.
Right.
Something like that. Like that's not really good. It has to be, and also like I love being in a theater where people clap when I die. It's kind of fun. It happens every time. It happens every time.
Oh my god. Boo.
I think it's really funny because she's like it's pretty easy to hate Brooke, but
we love to hate her at the same
you
time.
love to hate her, right?
You honestly played her so well. It was hard to hate her though.
You're like,
It
this girl, she
was.
just wants to have fun. Like genuinely, she doesn't think she's doing anything wrong. She's just like she has no filter. She wants to be fun, and like in her mind, she's being a good friend. Her friend is upset, so like that's how she's justifying it. So I think it's okay that Brooke dies. I'm not saying she shouldn't come back at some point. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So Damien, if you see this, hello.
Um, yeah, just one more question. If you could write a character for yourself, a dream role, what would it be? Doesn't have to be like a specific movie, but just traits of a character that you would want to play.
Yeah. I really like playing characters that are sort of off the beaten path, something that has a lot of comedy in it and maybe incorporates my anxiety a little bit. Because that's just something that speaks to me very much. Like I remember I did a play, Belleville, in school, and that character was so like she was afflicted by the anxiety, but then used that to like overcome something. And actually that play has a little bit of a horror aspect into it too. So interesting. But I think something like that, like a woman who is definitely like a little off, but also trying to find her place in like her relationship or her career. I think because I'm also in that place, that weird like end of your 20s where you're sort of like, I'm an adult definitely, but I don't feel like an adult. and I can't.
I understand completely.
Yeah, you know, like I feel like whatever. I'm just like talking out of my ass. But there
No,
is,
I was like, you said that, and I was like, yes, exactly. I get it.
yeah, it's like I have some friends who are having babies now, but I'm the baby. I'm so
Right.
confused.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
little
I'm
bit,
so happy someone else thinks like this.
it's like a little bit like when I watched Frances Ha for the first time. Have you guys ever seen that? Greta Gerwig.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's very like coming of age as like a 20 something into early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And then like having friends who at 1 second are like playing around and fighting around with you, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, I'm growing up now, like I'm getting married, like you need to grow up too. And it's like, but I don't want to grow up. And maybe that's why I like being an actor, because I like playing pretend, like I like being a kid.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. No,
Like a
exactly.
therapy session, you guys.
Yes. No.
We're here for it. We're here for everything, if you can't tell, because that's all I've been saying. Either we're here for it or always and forever. I don't know what's going on, but
Both of those things, very accepting. Thank you.
do also, not that you have to say anything pertaining to this,
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
but I do have to bring it up. There have been some rumors on the internet, and I'm talking not just Instagram. Girl, I'm seeing it on TikTok, Twitter, even a little bit of Facebook. I'm seeing it on all my socials. I'm like,
Facebook. Oh
what's
no.
going on?
Not Facebook.
But there's a little rumor that you could possibly be in Scream 7. And I just have to say, you would kill it. You
Oh,
deserve it. And I know you can't say anything, but leaving it here,
I mean,
I
wouldn't
hope
that
you
be a
do.
dream? That's so nice of you. Thank you. Literally would be a dream. We were just talking about like, I don't know, like who, it's so funny. Who comes up with like rumors? I don't know,
It's
but
crazy how stuff can circulate. Or if that's the
yes,
right word. Circulate, right? Yeah, sure.
yes, like I
Yeah.
have no
Yeah.
idea, but things take its own turn. But God, what a dream. We're talking about like Scream, like that is also like one of those Halloween-esque, like its own songs, its own lore. And God, like I'm such a fan. And in fact, my brother used to wear a different Scream costume for Halloween every year. Like I remember this so specifically. He would every year wear Scream. So I was never allowed to be Scream because like that was his thing. But I would have. And we definitely still have them in the closet. So I'm a huge Scream fan.
Aw.
You should just get a really, really extra large shadow box, and there's a Christmas present.
Yes, that's a great idea.
I got you.
Such a good idea. Other than the fact that he has a baby now and like she might be terrified of it, I should do that.
You can put,
And I
okay,
shouldn't tell
wait.
him about it. I'll like put it in his room when he wakes up. And
Just sees a bunch of ghost faces.
yeah, I think that's good. That's a good idea.
That'd be a really good reaction video to post.
It would. That'd be a good
Be like,
prank.
hey, I don't know what that is. And
Yeah.
then you just scare the hell out of them. That's great. I'm here for that.
Totally.
But Kailey, thank you so much for coming on and
Thank
chatting
you.
with us.
Yes, this is so fun.
I we could talk for like probably 5 more hours.
Yes.
Bet your girl needs to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get that rest. Got to start driving at 3 a.m. It's going to be an adventure. But I personally adore you, and I cannot wait to work with you. It's going to be a great time. So everybody, please make sure that you keep checking out the Never Return Indiegogo. Keep sharing, contributing, support indie filmmaking. I think it's thriving at this point, and it's going to keep growing from here. And I'm really excited to share this with Ashley, with Kailey, and everybody else involved. And so, Kailey, is there any final thoughts? If you want to tell everybody where to follow you, find you on socials.
Just thank you guys so much. You're awesome.
Thank you.
This was so fun. I'm so happy we like really got to powwow about this. I can't wait to work with both of you. It's gonna be so
I
fun. you can just, the only social I have is Instagram. Actually, I do have a TikTok, but I never post on it. So I use TikTok. I definitely go on it and watch stuff, but I don't. And I also really don't post on Instagram, to be honest, but I will go on it and I'll talk to you if you reach out to me. So it's just my name, Kailey Hyman. Yeah, that's it. And I'm
Well,
really excited to work with you guys.
yeah, thank you so much. I am so excited to act alongside you. And you're just absolutely beautiful and such a sweet and kind person. And I just very grateful for you and grateful that you came on. And thank you so
Oh
much.
my gosh, thank you. So are you. Stunning, gorgeous, perfect. I love them. I love
Stop it.
them.
Love.
It's the three besties now. So that's going
Yeah.
to be wild. And we can't wait to share it with you guys. Make sure to like, comment, and share. Keep checking out the Indiegogo. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Steel City Screams. Thank you, Kailey. Mwah.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Good night, my
Good
angels.
night, my angels.